Hello, hello, everybody. Can anybody hear me? Can you let me know if you can hear me? Can everyone hear me? Please let me know so I know how to adjust. Can everyone hear me? Can you just type yes or no down in the comments? Hi, Karen, Nadia, Rhonda. Can everyone hear me? I don't want to speak into a void. So if you can just type yes, we can hear you, or give a thumbs up or a heart or something. Well, sounds like you can hear me. Karen said, hey, girl. All right, this is my first live, so I'm not sure of all of the little different intricacies and features that are available, but I'm sure I will figure that out as time goes on. I am going to give about another minute or so for people to join in. I don't plan to be here very long, but sometimes I can get a little verbose, as we say, and I can just talk and talk about things that I feel a little bit more passionate about. Um, but I'm going to give a couple more seconds or so, maybe about another 30 seconds, um, to let folks join in. We have a few people on the line. Um, as much as possible, I'd love for this to be interactive. I don't know if it's the same as other lives where if you hit the hearts and all of that stuff, it starts to show engagement and then it pushes the live out to other people. So if you wouldn't mind maybe hitting a heart or what have you, and maybe this could help send an alert out to other people on their notes or what have you. So this is all a new thing for me, and I'll figure it out as I do more. But based on what I already know, that seems to be what other people, other platforms have been doing. Well, it is 12:03. I'm not going to take up too much time, but I'm happy that I am now able to go live on Substack. I remember when the live feature became available, it was only rolled out to bestsellers, and I'm not there yet. But I was hoping that it would get rolled out and it wouldn't take too much longer for it to be rolled out to everybody else. And I saw just a few days ago that we've gotten, I just see a heart on my side, Karen. I don't know about anything else. Do you see where you can write a message or type anything? Um, so, well, all I see is the heart. So perhaps that might be enough. I don't know. um, so, um, but in any case, once I saw that this was an option available to me, I knew I wanted to utilize it. So this is a chance for me to just put myself out there to everybody, whoever's willing to listen and engage and hear my perspective. I hope it's useful to everyone. First, I'm going to introduce myself briefly. Um, my Substack title is Harmonious.Balance. I'll talk about what that actually means. And then I'll get into the crux of what I wanted to talk about, which was the quote from Dr. King The world now demands a maturity of America that we may not be able to achieve. So, Harmonious Balance, that's the name of my Substack, but it's actually encompasses a number of things. Harmonious Balance is something that I founded. I consider it to be an emerging wellness ideology and upgrade of the idea of work life balance and all of that. People say balance isn't achievable, but I believe it is, because balance is not the outcome, it's not the results we're looking for, it's actually the input. So our emotion, our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual balance is what is the input that provides for harmonious outcomes. And I really view balance as stability. So, and stability is something that we have to impose on situations. It's not going to be an outcome just because. We have to bring it, we have to insist upon it. So, when something is thrown off balance or out of whack, or if we're in chaos, or if things are just not on stable footing, we have to do whatever it takes to shore that up physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So, I can go into further detail about that. I have posts on my Substack about that, what that really looks like. So you could probe deeper into that if that's of interest to you. But the purpose of my Substack is to actually talk about the things that throw us off balance, particularly things that throw us off balance as collectively, because there are different things that we believe from a collective standpoint that we've adopted into our individual lives, and that throws everything off. One of the premises or the tagline for Harmonious Balance is to live your best life, be your better self, and accomplish the greater good. The reason for that is if we're living our best lives, we're more inclined to show up as our better selves. And if we're showing up as our better selves, then we're more inclined to accomplish and do things that are for the greater good. So, with where we are in society today, the greater good seems to be lost on a lot of people. So, and I think if we trace that all back, it's because people are not happy and fulfilled in their own lives. And there's a whole host of reasons for that. There's a number of things that throw us off balance and prevent us from living our best lives. So I talk about all the things that throw us off balance. And a lot of times those are charged topics. Those are topics that some folks might consider to be taboo, or topics that folks tend to try to stay away from. And so there's a number of those things, particularly in the realm of politics, that people don't like to talk about. But I think those are the things we actually need to discuss, because those are the things that throw us off balance. Those are the things that prevent us from the stability that we seek in our lives, and that prevent us from actually living our best lives. So that's what Harmonious Balance is all about in a nutshell. So, with that, you can understand why I talk about things related to our world, our government, our country, because there's so many things that we've adopted that have not served us well. And of course, this is an ongoing experiment. Nothing's perfect, but our charge is to perfect our union. The preamble of the United States Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. So our charge is to perfect our union. And then the preamble goes on to talk about what that looks like. What does perfecting our union look like? Establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, providing for the common defense, promoting the general welfare, and securing the blessings of liberty for us and our posterity. So those are the five things of that's those are the five main points of what perfecting our union is all about. So when I thought about the term perfect our union, I decided to look up what perfect really means. And one of the words used to describe perfect was mature. So I don't consider myself to be a historian or a student of history. I just look back on things as I think about them. And Dr. King has been one of those people that I refer back to many, many times. And there's a lesser known quote from him that says, "The world demands a maturity of America that we might not be able to achieve." So, because I have been thinking about the notion of perfecting our union, that particular quote really stood out to me. Perfect, mature. We need to mature our union. So, if you will, those of you that are out there, I would like to engage with you a little bit. When you think of mature, what comes to mind? Or when you think of immaturity, what words come to mind for you? I don't know if we think a whole lot when we say mature, but when we think about the opposite of immaturity, what words really come to mind for you? Sound off in the chat. It says write a message, so I'm assuming I should be able, yeah, I'll be able to see it if that's what you see on your screen. But what words come to mind when you think of immaturity? Or what images come to mind when you think of immaturity? So I'd love for you all to engage and interact with me. So if you could write that down, write your thoughts. Um, I'd love to see that. So I'll give about 20 seconds or so if you don't mind chiming in. And if you don't, that's okay. But I would love to see that. Lack of experience, Karen says. Lack of experience. Any other thoughts on what immaturity looks like or what you think of when you think of the word immature or when you think of the idea of maturity? Probably the first thing that comes to mind is for immaturity is childishness, being childish. And there's certain things that we expect and think will be okay for children, but as grown adults, it's very off-putting to see grown people behave in a childish manner. So, what are immature characteristics? When we think of what childishness looks like, what are some of those characteristics? I think primarily of selfishness. I think of um, really only being able to function with lower level emotion. I think of acting out. I think of not sharing. I think about always kind of being in a dream world, being naive. Um, Talked about not sharing. I think about not taking responsibility. So, all of these things are signs and indicators of immaturity. And they're very off putting when we're expecting to deal with people who are actually mature. How many of you have seen grown people, folks 35 and up, still trying to act like they were in their 20s, and even in their late teens? Uh, I think Muhammad Ali said, if a man at the age of 50 thinks the same way he did at 20, he wasted 30 years. When you see these older people up in the club and all of that, it doesn't fit. It doesn't work. There's an immaturity there that most people don't find to be appealing. So when you put all that together, and those are the descriptors that we have of the American people, along with the American federal government, that is not good. Yet it seems to be very accurate. Um, During this guy's, and I try not to say his name, during his first administration, I remember people talking about having adults in the room with him. And many people often speak of his childish antics, and not just in the executive branch, but even in the legislative branch. Do we have adults in the room? Do we have people that are taking their jobs seriously? Do we have people that are not being selfish? Do we have people that are not being disingenuous? All of these things are how we are describing our federal government. And even on the local and state levels, there's a lot of those shenanigans and stuff that go on. But it's all very childish. It's very immature. And if we forever be in that, then we're never going to perfect our union. And those 5 pillars of what a perfect union looks like, all of those things you see will never come to fruition. So Dr. King's statement, he was talking about the Vietnam War at the time. But it's still very much applicable today. But that's very bothersome to me. The mere fact that we're not just being immature, we're regressing. Typically, except perhaps in older age when people start having dementia and have a stroke or something like that, you'll see a regression. But in general, the 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 trajectory for maturity is an upward one. It's a continuous one. It's a forward moving one. We're not supposed to go backwards. So the United States is not supposed to look like it did in 1960. It's not supposed to look like it did pre-Civil War. It's not supposed to look like it did in 1990. So it's just it's just very jarring, this idea that we are regressing day after day, year after year, and that seems to have been accelerated with folks that are now, as of a couple hours ago, back in office. Um, so, Karen, you said, I think of a limited point of view, seeing the world through your own tunnel vision without critical thinking. Absolutely. Again, immaturity, there's a selfishness there. There's a limited perspective. Children have limited perspective. They only see what's in front of them. The things that just don't immediately make sense to them, they just think it's not real. They think it's not true. That's childlike behavior. Um, Yet that's what we're dealing with our leaders. And that doesn't come from nowhere. Our leaders just don't emerge like that. um, we have a lot of individuals that are immature throughout this country, but they're supposedly older people. So should be older, respectable, contributing members to society. Yet they're stuck in a certain level of immaturity as well. So that's disturbing. It's disheartening and very bothersome to me. So when I read this quote from Dr. King, it just it stuck with me, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about it and use this term and this prism of maturity and immaturity to help folks better understand where we are and what's required. And when when the irresponsible, because of their immaturity, have been given great responsibility, we are in great danger. Imagine giving the keys to a car, giving the keys to a 4-year-old to drive a car. It's very dangerous, a very dangerous proposition, one that's not going to end well. not just for the child driving, but for the people that are around, the innocent bystanders. It saddens me for sure that we found ourselves in this place. I am one that chose to hope against hope and did what I could do to prevent this moment from happening, yet it has happened. Um, but this isn't the end of it all. Um, the the final the fat lady has not sung, as they say. This isn't the final page of the chapter. We can still right this ship. It'll be hard for sure. There's going to be a lot of resistance by a lot of mature people. But because we're so divided right now, um, it's going to be a harder fight than what it should be. And it's not a guarantee that the mature is going to prevail in the end. And if they do, it won't be without serious collateral damage along the way. Um, so I posed this question on Substack yesterday when I posted the quote: will his prophecy come true? Will we prove him wrong? We really don't know. But I'll say for myself that we need to be audacious in our maturity. We need to be unashamed of our maturity. A lot of times, folks have tried to own this narrative that being filtered, that being thoughtful, that being considerate, that being mature is a sign of weakness. When in fact, it's nothing. It's a sign of the utmost strength, and it's the sign of maturity. Um, we can't let immaturity win. And I don't want Dr. King's prophecy to be fulfilled. I mean, it's been fulfilled to a certain degree already, but I don't want this to be the final say of America, at least not during my lifetime. Um, I've said it before in other forums that I've been fortunate not to have experienced the resistance and the fights of my family, my parents, my ancestors, that I've been able to live a life that they've dreamed about, live a life that they fought for. So, this idea of perhaps the latter half of my life being worse than it started is bothersome to me. The idea of regression in my lifetime is very bothersome to me. I don't want that to be my understanding of America when I finally do leave this world. Um, so I've said a lot. It is 12:23, and this notion of America's maturity. Um, will the mature rise up? Will the mature show up? Um, will the mature be the, what's the word? The shield that many of us need at this particular point in time, because a lot of us are under threat based on what has already been stated as the agenda of this incoming administration. Um, our call to maturity is here. It's been here. Um, the world has been crying for it, and the American people have been crying for it. Even those who have been immature all this time, they've still been crying for it. They just didn't know. They just didn't know that's what they needed. Um, So um I think I'm going to end my thoughts there. I don't want to just ramble. I don't want my lives to turn into something tangential from what I started with. I wanted to put that out there as food for thought. And if anyone has any questions, comments, or wants to continue the discussion for a couple more minutes, then I'm open. Hopefully, I'll be able to post this once we're done so others can view it, and perhaps that could generate even more conversation. I wish there was a way to make this an audio interactive thing. I know that people can join. Does anyone want to be a participant with me? And I add you onto the call and um, we have a conversation for a few minutes. It's fine if you don't, but I'm just trying to interact as much as possible for these next few minutes. I guess the last thing I'll point out is on my Substack, um, great Kristen, um, that's fine. I understand. No, it was planned on my part, but it's impromptu for everybody else. Um, Today is King Day. That is my focus for today. And in terms of my role in this collective society, that's my focus for today. I have a post up about Dr. King's impact on me. So you could visit my page, Harmonious.Balance.substack.com, and you'll find it there. I actually probably need to go to that page and pin it as the main, as the latest post. But I've written about a number of things, and so the my page will be a hodgepodge of things. Like I said, I'm going to talk about all things that throw us off balance, um, and I'm not going to shy away even from the things that make our society off balance. So, with that, I am going to log off of here. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for not leaving me by myself. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. But I plan to do more of these. And I wish there was a way I could notify folks sooner, not just in the moment. But I'll have to dig into that. And hopefully, you'll be seeing me on here soon and we'll be interacting even more. So I will see everybody later. Have a good day. Hopefully you all are off today. Take it easy. And if you don't want to be sucked into all of the chaos of the news and stuff of today, focus on Dr. King. Focus on living a life that you're fighting for. Relax. Have a great day and move forward in maturity and harmonious balance, my friends.